workout models is completely vertical. But we're in especially you guys are in a field that's almost all horizontal. So at points, there's very little trade-off, and you have to maximize so much in the vertical, get your 500, 600, 700-pound squats and bench presses and that sort of thing, to convert enough of that strength into be able to convert that strength into a horizontal field. So what we're going to do is maybe give you some ideas of how to translate the strength that you have already and maximize that by doing some additional and what we like to consider fun training. Right now, your sport lists in the off season a lot like this, big H frame. So you're sported on both sides, feet are nice and wide, whether this guy's doing a front squat or going to do an overhead press, no stability relative to what we do is really needed. As long as that bar moves vertical 100%, you're pretty safe lifting, even if you miss it. However, you guys are throwing much lighter weights in a horizontal plane. So does your lifting match your sport? And generally the answer is no. The A-frame. A-frames in houses are built to suspend a lot of weight. Again, I've seen deadlifters in strongman contests pull over 1,000 pounds at what we call a silver dollar deadlift, so a short range 18-inch deadlift. But again, you guys are throwing in positions and with weights that aren't even close to that. So do you really need to do that all the time? So functional training for sport, what do I mean by when I use the word functional? Usable. That's the easiest definition. I'm not going to get into what everyone else is because there's integrated training and all that. Right now I use the catchword and then I define it. Usable. If it's not usable, we don't train that way. We train in a gym to make our movements more precise. So if you have to move laterally, if we have to move laterally with a spin, we train that way in the gym. We make our movements match that. Then once we get the motions down and the coordination down, we then translate that and add that, make that movement stronger. Then after that, we move it faster or more ballistic. So a lot of people get this backwards. They make the athlete stronger, then take them out on the field and make them precise. What I liken that to is, would you give a 16-year-old who just got his driver's license, never really been behind the wheel, the keys to a Lamborghini? A V12 engine, 500 horsepower, and set him off to drive? The answer is no. So what we do is we teach the person how to drive their car. We teach them coordination first, have them do a lot of game-based training, and then we make them stronger along the way, and then after that we make them move faster and more ballistic. Functional strength training, the way we define it, focuses on muscle systems or kinetic chains. We don't worry about the thigh muscle. We don't worry about naming muscles because in all reality you have in your motions, you're not moving a muscle. You're doing a movement. So we don't focus on muscles. We focus on movements and is the body moving correctly. And most of the time, if I say right now I want everybody here to tighten your gluteus medialis, can anybody here flex it? Not while sitting there, not while standing, not by itself. It's fired in conjunction with other muscles. So that's what we do, is we make muscles fire together better. We focus a lot on movement patterns and coordination. So in the gym, whether it be in the off season or during the season, we're still ingraining good movement patterns. We don't have to de-learn what we just learned in the weight room as our athletes go into their respective sports. We have a lot more fun, which elicits a lot more effort. So we challenge the mind, and that's one of the things that Phil said was on his days off, because he had 5 days that he wasn't training, he was trying to get his brain around what we were doing, why his body wouldn't do the things I was asking his body to do, why it was so difficult, how to get his hips and his shoulders to talk to each other. So how do we determine if an exercise is functional? One, is it standing and moving? If you're not moving in the gym, you're creating an athlete who's static. And every one of you guys, whether you're a coach or athlete, your throws are not done static. Do you use appropriate equipment? If you're throwing a shot put, if you're throwing these things, throwing with one arm, if your entire training in the off season focuses around a barbell, you're probably injuring the success of what you could do on the field. For us, is it game-based or goal-based? and or movement based? Does it work unilateral or contralateral? What I mean by that, does it work half the body at a time? Or does it use right arm, left leg? Which is kind of weird to get in a gym and see somebody standing on one leg moving one dumbbell. You're going to use a lot less weight. That's okay. Do we work on stability? And I'm not talking about balance. There's a big difference between balance and stability, even though people claim that you can train balance. And I'm not going to get into that debate because I think the information out there kind of goes both ways. But I know we can train stability. Our reaction to unstable surfaces and situations, which if you're doing the slide, glide, spin throw, whatever, you're really unstable. Okay? And does it have rotational and diagonal core training? For us, core is everything. And I'm not talking about like Pilates and yoga. I'm talking about training the shoulder to talk to the hip. The only way that happens is through the midsection. And we train the core, not just our upper level muscles. There's 4 layers of muscles. You got your rectus in the front, you got your back muscles that balance that, internal, external obliques, and transverse abdominis. You've got to teach the body how to use that because about age 8 to 10, we forget how to use that. And it's really never taught back in our educational system anymore. So when I talk about rotational and diagonal core training, what I'm talking about is transverse, the yellow line that goes through the body side to side. Do we talk and teach rotational movements? If not, you might want to change that. Everyone trains the green up and down, sit-ups. We don't do hardly any sit-ups in our gym. Our athletes very rarely do sit-ups because we're training abs the entire time. And these go both on the front and the back of the body, okay? The pink line there is rib to iliac crest or rib to hip, top part of the hip. So it's a short movement. It's either this short this way or it's reversed, pulling back. Do you guys train that as part of your core training? Last is outside shoulder to lower hip. So actual hip bone, outside shoulder.